Welcome everybody. This is Mrs. D's Virtual PD, and today we are going to be flipping for FlipGrid. And so I'm really excited about this one because there are so many opportunities for the program FlipGrid, and not only in the classroom, but the communication and interactions with the community as well. So we're going to talk about some fun features for FlipGrid. My name's Brene Duggins. I'm the Fire Prevention Coordinator and Training Captain with Holly Grove Fire Department in Central North Carolina. I'm also the Media Coordinator at Oak Grove High School in Davidson County. Between the two, I've been around for a little while. I have been in the fire service for 18 years, and all but one of those has been in fire prevention and education. Actually, this is going on 19 this year for me. I've been teaching for going on 18 years. And so I always laugh because I've been doing the fire service thing 1 year longer than my actual career. And what I love about what I do is so much is it applies to both sides. You know, in my day job here at school, I get to teach teachers about using tools and technology and things they can use with their students, things they can integrate into their lessons. And this is one of those tools that is engaging for students. You can do assessments with students. We're going to talk about a couple different things that make it really fun. So if you don't mind signing in for me, I'm going to drop this out really fast so I can grab the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat window. So if you'll do me a favor and sign in, again, I just put it in the chat window. This is how I do my certificates. I also will email you the link to the website as well, and I'll send you a link to the slides. So what are we going to do today? Today, we're going to talk about right off the bat what FlipGrid is. Some of you may be new to FlipGrid. The cool thing is I've done 2 other sessions about FlipGrid, and you are going to be able to see those. You'll have links to be able to get to those. One was on FlipGrid Basics, and one was Next Steps, taking it to the next level. This one is going to be about some different components and applying those and using those. So we're not going to go back to the basics. So if you have never done FlipGrid before, that is definitely one of the videos that you may want to check out. So we're going to talk about FlipGrid shorts. Oh my goodness, I love these. These are so much fun, and there's so many opportunities with this. We're going to look at FlipGrid AR, Flip Hunts, taking attendance using FlipGrid. Those of you that may be in a classroom, virtual or face-to-face, doing attendance with FlipGrid and documenting. Actually, I need to take the evaluation one off because I did move that one. So we're going to be doing attendance, and then we are talking about guest access and what that means in FlipGrid and how can you set it up when you have a closed FlipGrid. So right off the bat, I want you to sit back and have fun today, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today, and you cannot do them all at one time. That is totally going to be overwhelming. So while we're going through, if you have something you have that light bulb moment and you go, oh my gosh, I can totally see where to use this with, start with that idea. So pick 1 or 2 to start with, and then come back, look at the slides again, watch the video again, and come back for more ideas. You don't want to try to do too much at one time, because then you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Pick one thing, get really good at it, and then come back for more. Now, if you have never been on FlipGrid, this is actually a referral code. It helps me. It helps you get an account. I'm going to put it in the window also. You'll have to copy and paste it, but it'll also be in the slides. This is a quick link that gets you to FlipGrid to sign up, but it also gives me credit for doing a referral. If you're watching this video on the recording and you are a Davidson County Schools employee, or if your agency is a Google agency, my school is a Google school, and my fire department is as well. So when you click that link or you go to sign up for FlipGrid, sign up with your Google account. It is simple as that, and then you'll have your Flipgrid account. And so that's the easiest way to sign up, is using your Google account, or they also allow you to sign up with a Microsoft account. So if you have Microsoft 365, you can sign up with that account as well, because Flipgrid is actually owned by Microsoft now. A couple years ago, Microsoft bought it, and when they did, they made it completely free for educators, which I thought was awesome. So some of you may be going, what is this Flipgrid that you talk about? What it is it's a video discussion tool. So imagine, think back to a old-fashioned discussion board where you have to type out a post to answer a question, and then you have to type responses to people. Think about that in a video format. So it is a video discussion board on steroids, and I call it that because there are so many things you can do. You don't just have to record the video, you can add emojis and stickers and drawings and screencasts and all kinds of stuff. Students can add and spice up their recordings, and you can too. And it works on the website, and there is an app for both Android and iPhones. So it means that someone can access on a laptop, on a tablet, on a smartphone, on a Chromebook, on a desktop computer. They can access this on any kind of device, which is really cool. And I use this not only here at school, and you'll see an example of that later in the slides where I'm showing you how some stuff works. Those are some of my students here at school, but I also use it in the community college classes that I teach for fire and life safety educator. My students participate using Flipgrid to answer questions, take quizzes, things like that. And just like I said before, one of the best things about this tool is it is free. They have made it free for all educators. And so we have a ton of people that are in the public schools, private schools, and in the fire service that are educators that are using this tool. You can interact using the videos. So think about your face-to-face communication without the pressures of a live classroom. Do you know that kid, or you were one time that person that did not like to speak up in class to answer a question because everybody's eyes were gonna be on you? And you're the pit of your stomach, you can feel it, all those eyes, you know they're looking. Well, the cool thing about this is when they're recording a video, it is just them and the computer. No one else is seeing it. And you have the opportunity as the teacher to moderate the boards. So you can make it where nobody else except for you see the videos. So there's lots of opportunities for that. And I talk about moderating boards in the next steps video, because that is an easy way, especially when we're doing some activities, for people not to get the answer, especially if you're in a math classroom and you have a kid explaining a math problem. You don't want the first kid to explain the math problem and everybody else wait for that video to pop up and then go and kidnap that kid's answers and explanation. It allows for creativity and expressiveness. Students can be expressive, they can be themselves in those videos. It also helps students feel less apprehensive and more apt to express their thoughts. They don't have people that are sitting there and making comments while they're talking in class. And, kids can sometimes, and adults can be cruel when somebody's speaking and sharing their thoughts. They can share their thoughts and nobody else is making comments. You can actually turn off comments so people can't comment on each other's. Or if you do have a class that is communicating with each other, you can have them on, and you'll see when we're in mine in a little bit that people respond to each other. So if you're getting started, these are some great resources for the educator. This is a blog about getting started with Flipgrid that has some great things. There's also a blog post about remote learning, and this one goes through ideas and ways to use Flipgrid in this remote learning environment, in addition to some of the ones that we're going to talk about today. I also have one for students, and these are articles and tutorials on getting students started and how do they use it. I also gave you one for the Student and Parent Help Center. When you're using this with the public, when you're using this with classes, people always have questions of, how do I record? How do I post the video? How do I edit the video? How do I add emojis to the video? And these already have those answers already for you. You can send them straight there, or you can share you can share them, just those specific pieces. These are the two sessions that I was talking about on Flipgrid. I have the Flipgrid Basics, and I also have the Flipgrid Next Steps. So on my website, and we're going to jump over there really fast. Here's the Flipgrid Basics. It was one of the first ones that I did. And if the difference between, I was watching one of these the other day and looking at the slides, oh my gosh, that was like this time last year when I started this. It's a huge difference. It's crazy. But the Flipgrid Basics, and then here's the Flipgrid Next Steps. And so the handouts, the recordings are all on here for you. So you can visit and get even more information on Flipgrid. So we're going to get started. Flipgrid Shorts. Okay, when they added this, they added Flipgrid Shorts last year during the spring, and it is amazing. So what you can do with the Flipgrid Shorts camera is you can create a video up to 10 minutes. You can trim it, you can rearrange segments, you can upload your own videos into this, and then you could have a video of you talking. But if you recorded an example of doing a lesson or an activity, you can upload that content, and then you could talk again at the end. So you can do all kinds of stuff. You can overlay photos from your camera roll. You can add emojis. You can add text and stickers on your video. You can add filters or frames to set the tone. One really cool filter that that I saw somebody do was doing a breakout room activity with students, and it was that the teacher is caught in a video game. So in order to break the teacher out of the video game, they have to answer certain things in this Flipgrid. So they have to answer certain types of problems. Well, as they get to the different levels, the teacher has this crazy filter over her that makes her look like she's in a video game with all the static. So there's all kinds of cool filters. You can even title your short videos now. So you can have titles and everything. And then you can share the shorts after you record them. What I really like about this is, in some of my other sessions, I have talked about screen recording and making instructional videos. Well, this is a 10-minute max. Well, that's a really great short tidbit length to do like a quick tutorial or a quick safety message or a quick, instructional message on a topic. And so you could share those clips with students or your groups that you're teaching. So how it works is when you are in Flipgrid, at the top, you're going to see the word shorts. So we're going to jump out really fast, and I'm going to log into Flipgrid so you can see where we're talking about. So when I'm logged in, shorts is up here at the top. So when you click discussions, this is going to have all your Flipgrids you have. You've got discovery, activity, mixtapes, and shorts. So when we go to shorts, if I hit record a short, and it's probably not going to let me because I'm recording with you, it's telling me I can't because I've got, right now I'm with y'all. So we're going to jump over to my screen here. And this is what it looks like when you're recording. You're going to have these buttons at the bottom. You can use your camera that is facing on your computer, or if you have an external camera. It does have a 10-minute limit. And there's all kinds of fun effects and tools. And so some of those, you can flip the camera. I like to read, I told y'all earlier, I did a read aloud with a friend's school earlier. We did first grade. And if I had used the recordings, like if I had to record it ahead of time and I was holding the book with me, the book pages might be backwards. You know how sometimes your camera facing you is backwards? Well, if I need the text to be the right direction, I can flip the camera and it's going to flip my text for me. So that's a great feature. Under options, this is where you can upload a video that you've already recorded or a clip. You can do just the mic only. So you could upload a clip and then record over it. You can mirror your video. You can mute or you can record your screen. So just like a screencasting recording, like if I wanted just to record this session and what's on my screen, I could do that. Under effects, there are filters, all kinds of filters. Text, you can add text on the screen. Ink means that you can draw, you can add ink to the image. The board means that it's going to be a whiteboard that you can draw on. So imagine doing math problems. Imagine doing we have some engineering classes or where they're planning projects, or art where you're going to be sketching something or you're identifying something in an art piece. You can use the board and the ink. Stickers, there are a ton of stickers that are already in there. This is where you're going to find a lot of those emojis that are already in Flipgrid. Photos, you can upload your own photo. So if you've taken something that you want to use, you can upload it and show it on there. And then frames, there's all kinds of frames that'll go around the outside of your video clip. The record button is just there in the center. You press to record and then you'll press it again to stop. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. I'll be honest, I like this because it is very straightforward and simple. My elementary school kids, I have one that is in 4th grade, one in 5th grade. They've been using Flipgrid for a couple years. So I think I remember them being in like 1st and 2nd grade and using Flipgrid. Once you show them how to do it the first time, then it is very quick and easy for them to do. So some ideas, you could screen record for your students. You could screen record instructions on how to fill out a worksheet or a request form. You could explain directions, steps, or give lesson overviews. You could be doing something that's going to be online. Like we were looking at a website just a little bit ago, like for Survivalive, and you could be giving some kind of, hey, this is a brief overview of where to find things on the website. And you could do a really quick tutorial of this is how you find, this is how you navigate. And then you could have it posted or embedded on your website. You could send personal messages to family, friends, and colleagues. So you can record the message and then send them the short. You can also share the story. Let me fix that because I just realized. You could share a story with the community this way. You could record something. You could share information. You could share a tip, like it could be, or even with students for the parents. You could record information and messages and share it out. So the next thing we're going to talk about is FlipGrid AR. And this is a really neat feature that they have in the topic section. So I'm going to jump back out really fast and show you what the difference is. So used to, we called them grids. And so groups are the big overall section. So I'm going to go down to one of my I'm looking for, there's a specific one I'm looking for. I don't see it there. Okay, well, let's go to this one. So we have this one is a group. So it's the DCS Teenlit Top 10 group. And in it, we have one topic. You can have multiple topics underneath a Flipgrid. I have one for my student media assistants that has, I think, 5 different activities that they do, from an introduction. There's like even a quiz. And so these are what we used to call grids. And so now they call them groups, which are the overall big topic. And then the little section, these little topics are the individual activities under it. So if you have a class that you're doing, this would be the big class. And then the topics would be the individual activities that are going to happen. So that's where, when we're looking at topics and stuff, like, oh, here's one, student media assistants. So this was my students, like my student media assistant class, and they have 7 activities that they were doing. And you'll see a couple of them I started and then we didn't do, where they go in and they make responses. So like this was their introduction, and here's where they made videos. And you can see how many times people saw their videos. If someone makes a comment back, we can even see it too. So it's pretty cool. So FlipGrid AR is what it does is it takes those topics and it allows us to use augmented reality. So that's the ability to take something in like a virtual setting and put it into the physical world. So with this situation, we are taking a pre-recorded video and we're going to put it into the physical world where somebody might not be there with us. So you can transform all kinds of activities using this. Family nights, homework, events, like it could be a family, like a open house events, book reviews, projects, science fairs, art galleries, language classrooms. We do gallery walks. It could be so much, even with the fire department having our open houses and having the recordings of members and even activities, the explanations of activities that are recorded using Flipgrid can be done this way. So what you do is you print this QR code and you place it anywhere you want to hear and see the video. So what that means is, so this was one of those responses. And over here, and I'm going to jump, it's easier for me to show you this way. You can go through and we can print QR codes, and what it will do is it will give me a QR code that will play any of these recordings. Like they'll each have a recording QR code. So if I want to watch their video, that QR code when I scan it, so let me see if I can open one so you can see. So when I could place these, I don't want to print it. I could place these somewhere, and when it's scanned, you would be able to hear the students. So you could print all of them at one time. Let's say that you are doing a project. Students are doing wax museums. I think about elementary school and doing the wax museums. My son did that in 3rd grade. And every kid, sometimes you might not be able to have, especially with social distancing right now, we can't have all the kids in the room. Or the families, but you want to be able to see everybody's project. So what you can do is the kids dressed up can record themselves just like these students have recorded themselves. So they record themselves talking as if they're that person. So when you take that QR code and you scan it, then you will see the video of the kids talking. So it could be even where you have created something, not just students creating something, but you could have a Flipgrid that has tips or example problems or topics, and they are just starting points or tutorials, and you have those QR codes. So when they scan them, you have those messages pop up. So if you're doing a safety open house, you could have a safety message, and when you scan it, your video pops up. Or if you're in, we did a thing for English where they were reviewing topics using QR codes. And if you get the answer wrong and you scan the wrong QR code, it might say, take you to a video of the teacher explaining the correct answer. Same way for math, it could be the right answer versus the wrong answer and the right way to do something. So there's all kinds of opportunities here with the QR codes. So on here, it gives you the examples of how to do that. One option is to print everybody's QR code. The other is to go to the individual student. So like this right here were quizzes. There were parts of a book quiz. And so if I just want the one student's QR code, I'll hit share. And when you get the share window pop up, there is a QR code link. So when you hit that, this is what pops up and you can save it. So imagine a poster, some conferences do poster sessions, and depending on the conference, we can't always be there, but we want to be able to share information. And you might have 5 different things on your poster that you want to tell people about. Well, you could have 5 different videos. And these QR codes, when somebody scans it, will talk. You can have the QR codes in the different sections on the poster. When they scan it, it'll talk about that section. So there's lots of opportunities and lots of ideas. The next one is fun. This one's called Flip Hunts, and Flip Hunts are digital scavenger hunts, and it takes place in Flipgrid. This one, each task is actually a topic that is created. So you'll create like a task that participants will do. So it may be as simple as a math problem or locating something in the room. Like I'm thinking about our culinary arts lab and students identifying different tools in the culinary arts lab. And the task may be locate a ladle or locate a metal ladle or the mixing bowl or, you know, whatever the tool is. They have to take a picture of it and record what it is and explain something about it. So it may be find it and explain something. Some tips for these is when you are doing these, you want to make sure you have a task document and set limits on the times. When someone is recording in Flipgrid, and we talk about this in the other sessions, the recording limit is 10 minutes. Well, we can set the limit, and I'll be honest, if you're doing a flip hunt, I wouldn't give them more than 30 seconds. They need to be short, sweet, and to the point, unless you were asking them to explain something in a lot of detail. I wouldn't make it too long because you're going to have to listen to those. So I gave you a link to 2 really good articles about flip hunts. And then I have one that I created that we haven't used yet. And I'm going to jump in as if I'm a student so you can see what it looks like for them. So this one is a technology flip hunt. And it says, can't live without. Show us a piece of technology. This is one of the options. So let me go view all the topics. So there's 4 pieces to this one. So for this technology scavenger hunt, there's 4 tasks that the student needs to do. This first one is can't live without it. So I want you to find a piece of technology that you can't live without, and what kind of difference does it make in your life? So when I go to record, I've got to have that piece of technology. Now, I'll go in and say the one that is always on me is my cell phone. I can do I can call people, I can text people, but it is like a mini computer and I can do so many things on it. So I would record the response and have my cell phone with me and explain that that's the case, that that's what it is. And then I can jump to the other tasks. You know, here's an old technology roundup that, you know, look around your home, school, or in the community, and what is the oldest piece of technology y'all can find? Y'all would laugh. In my drawer right here, I have 3.5-inch floppies, 5-inch floppies, zip discs. I have, let's see, oh, I have one of the old video cassette tapes. Like there's all kinds of old technology in here. So the kids always think this one's fun to do. So it's like a scavenger hunt that they go through. Let me see if this one's got this example is, this one's laid out a little bit different. So it has rules, but it also says items to find. So this one I have tied to an activity where they're doing Chromebook stuff, and these are the things that they need to look for. And so they go through and they've got to find these things and record themselves. And then when they do, they come back and they record their response. And they show me what they did, or they talk about how they did it or where they found that piece. So this one, it gives them that list of things to find. And that it's the big thing here is giving them the chance to go through. And I'm looking to see, there was one that I had created. Oh, here's the start of one we were talking about doing for Fire Prevention Week. And so this has an activity with checklists. And this one, as they completed the checklist, they would go back and post a video, and their title would be, you know, I would know it's one topic. They would do all the videos in that one topic. And there's videos to watch. There's things, post an introduction video of your family, like who you are, talking about their home escape plans. So it's asking the families to do things together, and then they record. And this one is moderated so that nobody else sees it for privacy reasons. So I had it set so that no one would see anybody else's videos, just the departments that were doing it. So I've given you two examples, and then these are two really great articles, and they have examples as well. So think about scavenger hunts that you could do. They could be in your classrooms, in the community. They could be wherever you wanted them to be for people to find things. And I did have a session on flip hunts that goes even more detail. So, and it's on my website as well, so you can check it out. Another thing people ask me about with Flipgrid is ways to take attendance. And in the schools right now, we are having to take attendance virtually in some capacity. A lot of people are using Google Forms to do attendance. And a way you can do it with Flipgrid is have people record themselves. So they would do their responses, and then we can actually export the data. So what that looks like, and I'm going to jump back out really fast, and I'm going to come to this one because there's a lot of topics. I can go through and I can look at just, that was the wrong one because there's no responses on this one. Like this one, I have 13 responses. I can come up and I can hit export data, and it is going to download their responses. It's actually going to give me a transcript. So just like the file you see down here, it'll give me the topic, the person's name, last name, what their display name was, their email, when they did it, like when they posted it. Because, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh, yeah, I attended that. And then they fill it out like 2 or 3 days later. So you can know it's time stamped. There is a private link for that video, and there's a transcript. So it tells you what they said in the video. So you have all of this data, which in addition to attendance, you could do this for evaluation as well. You could do a quiz this way. You could do all kinds of quick assessments using this and exporting that data, and you'd have all of that there. So that's a really neat feature that they have with this export data. So you could use it for your attendance for a day. You could do things to ask people, or like a question of the day. Today on the read aloud, the question of the day is, which would you rather eat? A grasshopper or a snake? Sometimes it can be random questions. You could do a review question. You could ask a question from the day before, or it could be on a topic that you've been covering and you want to see how many people remember the answer. It could be that you wanted to see how many people were listening yesterday, and you asked them something funny like, oh, what was on Miss Duggan's t-shirt yesterday during class? It could be a knowledge check for a new lesson. It's almost like an anticipatory set where you can evaluate where student knowledge before you start a new topic, and you know where they are. It could be a fun facts, like, hey, tell me a fun fact about yourself today. Or you could say, you know, something fun you did, especially if you're coming back from like we're getting ready to have spring break. You could say, hey, tell me what you did over spring break. I mean, there's so many ideas for things you could ask them in that video. So just keep your wheels turning on things you could ask. The last thing is guest access. And when we are in a school setting, a lot of times our Flipgrids are not public. Now, we talk about this in the basics and the next steps Flipgrid topics. When you are doing something with the community, sometimes, and people are going to be coming from all kinds of different email addresses, then a lot of times we make our Flipgrids public. And guest access does not work with a public Flipgrid. So if in the school setting, I may have it limited to just students in my email domain. So here at school, they all have the same ending on their email. If you have it locked down so that only students within a certain domain can access it, then you can use guest access. So this is great where you can invite family members, community members, experts, all kinds of people. So they're given special permission to a specific topic without having access to everything else in your Flipgrid. So you could say, you know, maybe I want a guest speaker to be in on this topic, or they're an expert on this. Then I could give them access to just that topic or that question or activity. So how it works is you'll see the edit button beside, and let me jump out and I'll show you. Let's go back up. So there's an edit button here. So if I'm going over the entire thing, then I'm going to hit that edit button again. Let me show you where it's at. So at the top of one of the groups, there's an edit button. If I just want to give them access to one topic, I'm going to hit the edit for the topic. Over on the right-hand side, for both the topic and the group, you'll see permissions, and it's going to jump us down. Now, this one that I've got here is a public group, so it says that I cannot use public access or the group access. If you have one that is locked down, you'll see it say guest password. You'll turn it on, and then you get to make up the password that you give that guest. Then they can come in and they can answer on that board as well. It's great to have speakers, like for them to speak to an expert, for students to speak to an expert. It's great if you're doing something like family homework. If you're doing a flip hunt and there's a piece of an activity that you want families to do together, that they're doing things in the school building, but then there's a piece you want them to do at home, then you can give them access so that families could do it at home. You could have a school-wide challenge where it's activities that everybody in the school are going to participate in. And so you could have guest access for that, so it's outside of that group. It's also a great way to say thank you, because you may have, let's say you had a guest speaker come in and all of the students wanted to say thank you, or you have an appreciation day coming up and you have people that recorded videos for that particular audience, then you can give them guest access to it so that they can see all of the thank you videos. So imagine who you could invite to participate in a group as that special speaker, or that, you know, in a lot of times before we went virtual, we would do mystery Skypes where you had a guest speaker virtually come into class that couldn't necessarily be there physically. And it's similar to that. Like, who could you invite to participate that would get people excited and engaged? I did list some resources for y'all. The first one is the Educator's Guide to Flipgrid. This is a great handbook on Flipgrid, and I will drop this into the chat window, but you will also have an access to this as well whenever I send out the slides. This is, if there's something you need to know about getting started on Flipgrid, this is the place to go. They have all kinds of stuff. The other is the Flipgrid Help section. And sometimes we feel overwhelmed when we're looking at tools and we don't know where to start and we don't know what questions to ask. And so the Flipgrid Help section is amazing. They do a great job of getting started for educators, students, you know, when to use topics versus groups, how to record and submit your videos. There's a section for educators that gives you, like, how do you make comments to students, you know, updating your groups and topics, how do you get the public permissions, using the Discovery Library. There are so many grids already made, or like groups already made, that you just make copies of. It is amazing, like, what you can do. There's even a section for integrating topics, like integrations here. It goes from subject area integrations, like how can you use Flipgrid in social studies, math, science, language, um, like world languages, PE, all that, to also talking about app smashing, using Flipgrid with other programs and other apps. There's ideas for best practices, and then there's some great like just general articles as well. So there's lots of things, and you can also just search. And that's what I do whenever I've got questions, is I just do a search for things. So I know that it was kind of short today. That gives us a little bit of time if anybody wants to see examples or go back through and look at something. Again, like I said, this isn't the basics of what Flipgrid does. This is some of the extras that can happen with Flipgrid. And it's a pretty cool tool if you've never used it. Definitely, go in and play. Check out the Flipgrid shorts, especially if you're making short video clips. You could even take, like I'm doing here with the slides, I could go through and have my slides already made and upload those or do a screencast and talk over them and then add the emojis and the text and stuff over them to make the videos. So it's pretty cool. And it's user friendly, which is what I like because so many editing programs out there are not necessarily user friendly. And this one is one that is simple and easy to use, and it keeps all of them together. And just like the Flipgrid AR for the student answers, your recordings can have those QR codes too. So if you make those instructional videos, tutorials, you can use those QR codes as well to share with your students, share on posters, share on, whatever you would like them to.